Okay, this is our multiplying decimal study guide. We are going to have a test on Friday, November the 17th. We're just going to do a few of these together. We completed this study guide in class, and also the full key is on my website right up here in case you need the answers. We're just going to do a few together, starting with number 1. My directions say to use the standard algorithm to multiply each problem, then use less than, greater than, or equal to compare the products. So I have 3 hundredths times 4 tenths. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to stack up these numbers because it told me to use the standard algorithm. Remember, when I'm multiplying decimals, I do not line up my decimal because I'm going to hop that decimal out and multiply these like whole numbers. So I'm going to line them up like they're whole numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of these decimals. I'm going to hop them all the way to the right because I want whole numbers, and whole numbers have decimals at the very end. So my first number, I have 3 hundredths. I need to hop that decimal all the way to the right, and it's going to take 2 hops to get all the way to the end. Bottom number takes 1 hop, so I know before I do any math at all that when I get my answer, I need to hop my decimal back in 3 times, so I'll have a tenths place, a hundredths place, and a thousandths place. Now that I know that, I can multiply, and I have 4 times 3, which I know is 12. Now I need to put that decimal back in. It's right here at the end. I need to hop it 3 times, so 1, 2, 3. That leaves me with an empty space. I have to fill it with something, so I put a 0 there, and I have 12 thousandths as my answer. Now I need to fill in my blank with greater than, less than, or equal to by comparing 12 thousandths to 9 hundredths. Remember, when we compare decimal numbers, we line them up according to our place value and compare 1 digit at a time. So 0 and 0 are the same. Here I have 9 tenths and 1 tenth. 9 tenths is greater than 1 tenth, so 9 hundredths is greater than 12 thousandths. Now let's look at number 2. My problem in number 2 is I have 4 tenths times 15 hundredths. So again, using the standard algorithm, I'm going to stack those 2 numbers up, hop that decimal out, 1 2 times, 1 time, multiply like whole numbers. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So my whole number answer would be 60. I need to hop that decimal back in 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Leaves me with another blank space. I fill it with a 0, and that gives me 60 thousandths, which is the same as 6 hundredths. Now I need to compare 58 hundredths and 6 hundredths. 58 hundredths is greater than 6 hundredths. Now moving on to number 4, my directions tell me to multiply the decimal and whole number. So I'm going to use the standard algorithm again. I have 5 and 33 hundredths times 4. First thing I'm going to do is hop out that decimal. Looking at my top number, 4 and 33 hundredths, I'm going to try to get this decimal point all the way over to the right. And it's going to take me 2 places. Now remember, if I have a whole number on the bottom, it's already a whole number. There's no decimal to hop out. It's already there at the end. So I'm done. I know without doing any math that my answer is going to have a tenths place and a hundredths place because I'm hopping that decimal back in 2 times. Now I can multiply like whole numbers. 533 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. And I hop that decimal back in 2 times. I have 21 and 32 hundredths. Now let's look at number 8. Number 8, I have a decimal times a whole number. My whole number is a 2-digit number. So I'm going to stack up using the standard algorithm. Hop out the decimal in the top number. Bottom number doesn't have a decimal to hop out, so I'm leaving it alone. I'm going to multiply like whole numbers. 46 times 12. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Now I'm done with my ones place. I'm going to clean my room, add that 0 placeholder, multiply by my 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. I'm going to add my partial products. 15, 5. I kind of ran out of room, but my answer is 552. That's my whole number answer. I need to hop that decimal back in 2 times, and I end up with 5 and 52/100. Now in these word problems, this is a multiplying decimals test, or multiplying decimals study guide. So I'm going to multiply these decimal numbers with these whole numbers. Moving on. Next, I'm multiplying decimals times decimals. Let's look at number 13. I have 5/10 times 3/10. Stack it up to use the standard algorithm. Hop those decimals out. Remember, when I'm multiplying decimals times decimals, I have a decimal to hop out of both numbers. So before I do any math, I know my answer is going to have a tenths place and a hundredths place because that decimal is going to be hopped back in twice. Now I can multiply 3 times 5, and I know that is 15. I hop my decimal back in 2 times. All of those are decimal times decimal, so looking on the back, I have some more word problems. Again, this is multiplying decimal tests, so they're probably going to be multiplying those numbers. Let's look at number 22. This is a multi-step problem. That means I'm going to have more than one step. Number 22 says 3 friends go to a local farmer's market. Sam spends $3.35. Helen spends 4 times as much as Sam, so I know I'm going to be multiplying something 4 times. Landon spends $7.50 more than Helen. How much does each person spend? I have Sam, Helen, and Landon. I need to know how much all 3 of them spend. I notice that it tells me Sam spends $3.35, so I don't even have to do any math. Then I move on to Helen. The problem tells me that Helen spends 4 times as much as Sam, and if Sam spends $3.35, then I need to know 4 times that. So it's a multiplication problem. Since I have decimals, I'm going to hop them out and then multiply like whole numbers. That's 20, 14, 13, 1,340 is my whole number. Hop that decimal back in 2 times, and I have $13.40. Then I need to know how much Landon spends. And my problem tells me that Landon spends $7.50 more than Helen. Now today when I was looking at these papers, a lot of people wanted to multiply $13.40 times $7.50. That is not what my problem tells me. It tells me Landon spends $7.50 more, so that means I need to add $7.50 to what Helen spent, which is $13.40. That gives me $20.90. If you have any more problems, then you know where to find my key. Right here will give you all the correct answers. Study hard.